DraftKings ranking committee, how do they go together? Well, if somebody is ranked in a position to fight somebody lower ranked and DraftKings puts odds on them to fight and the lower ranked guy is favored to beat the higher ranked guy, I think you have a problem. I've always thought that is a little bit of a problem. I've really not known why the UFC has given power for rankings to anybody other than odds makers. I haven't known that. If you got somebody that's actually willing to part with their money and there is a line from DraftKings should have them listed 1 through 10. Who's negative this? Who's negative this? Who's positive here? That is your ranking. Period. There would be no greater focus group, and there would be nobody that would be more serious than the person parting with their money. So I sat down to prove this point today. I sat down to prove this point because Gamrot is ranked number 7, taking on Fiziev, who is number 6. Obviously, Gamrot is going to be a massive favorite over Fiziev. So I'm going to prove my point. I've got my thesis, I've done my research, and I'm going to cite my source. Wrong. I got it wrong. Fiziev's the favorite. Does that surprise you guys? I could not believe this. I refreshed the page. And my crew can tell you this happened. I refreshed the page. I then went to another page. I just thought it was wrong. Now, they're very close. You're talking about minus 145 to plus 125, but it's still minus 145 for Fiziev. He is the favorite. Now, when you put a straggler versus a grappler, if there's anything we figured out since 1993, bet on the grappler. So you start to look into, well, how did they come to this conclusion? Fiziev is a stud, by the way. Fiziev, I love watching Fiziev. Total stud. I've never forgiven him for beating Bobby Green and then calling out Hezbollah. Like, I haven't totally forgiven him for that. But everything else he does, right? He's made a fan out of me. I like his look. I like his skills. I like his willingness. I like that he's now a main event guy. I like that he lost a main event against Justin Gaethje and has returned to a main event. Like, there's things about this guy, right? I could give Fiziev a ton of compliments. I just couldn't quite give him as many as I gave Gamrot. I want to disclose that. So when I saw Fiziev on the graphic, flashes up on TV as Jon Anik is introducing this match is going to come. Rank number 6, again, talking Fiziev here, and then I see Gamrot rank number 7. I think, wow, Gamrot is going to be a heavy favorite, and we're going to have a discrepancy between the odds makers and the rankings room. This will be an interesting conversation. Now, I sit down to tell you this, because how do we get to that conclusion? How do they possibly conclude? If you guys disagree with me, please let me know. How do you possibly conclude that Fiziev would be the favorite over Gamrot? I got an answer. That it is largely done statistically through an algorithm that is proprietary. And the algorithm took into consideration how many takedowns Gamrot got in the average 15 minutes and how many takedowns Fiziev was able to defend in the average 15 minutes. Gamrot had 4 takedowns and Fiziev had 5 takedown defenses. Now, the reason I bring this to you, that's an interesting detail to know, particularly when you go one step further in the research, which is what I have done, and realize Fiziev has never fought a wrestler. Like, I don't know what it matters how many times you've been taken down. You remember when they did this with Ciryl Gane? Ciryl Gane had 15 fights and a championship of the world when he's walking out to face Derek Lewis. And Ciryl had never been on the ground, not for 1 second. That's how they worded it. That was a very cool marketing way to word it. The message they're telling you is he's never been taken down. That's amazing. Until you look and see he's never fought a single wrestler. Not one. I don't say that to give Ciryl a hard time. I share that with you that sometimes when you're looking at statistics, it does require further research. And Gamrot is not just a wrestler, by the way. I mean, he was the top wrestler in his country. And it wasn't just wrestling, by the way. It was freestyle wrestling. Gamrot is very, very good. Does that translate over to MMA? I mean, Gamrot's one of these guys, he won't just take you down. He'll take you down for 25 straight minutes. I just think it's a really bad matchup for Fiziev. And I think that it's a matchup, at least if you're looking by the numbers, the only number in Fiziev's favor is the ranking, which is at number 7. I apologize, at number 6, and he's taking on number 7. Like, it seems like a very meaningful match. It seems like the right match to make. Oh, and by the way, if I have this wrong, the odds makers have it right. We're together going to owe an apology to the rankings room. I have never been overly nice to the rankings room, but then again, who am I insulting? Who am I insulting? Is it men, women, children? Is it a collective group? Is it a computer program? Like I know nothing about it. It could be one of my very good friends that I speak to 8 days. Like for whatever reason, they're hiding under the dark of a mask. So I'm not attempting to insult somebody. And this will be a very interesting match. I mean, not for nothing, but in that regard, it is very compelling. If you're betting on Fiziev, then you're betting that Fiziev, who's never fought a wrestler, can stop a wrestler from taking him down. You're betting on Fiziev. As good as his takedown defense is, it was far from perfect. He has been taken down a lot. And when you understand he's getting taken down a lot and he's never faced a wrestler, all of a sudden you start to skew over and go, hey, wait just a second. They made a mistake. And it's not like that would be the first time. The odds makers used to have something. Will it go over 3 rounds or under 3 rounds? Will it be less than 3 rounds or over 3 rounds? You could bet that. And the mistake that they would make all the time, I just had to look for it. All the time they would make a mistake to put that prop bet out on a match that was scheduled for 3 rounds. And they usually made this error when the guy was a former champion, like he had just lost his belt. It was Tim Sylvia specifically, lost his belt. He comes back for his next fight. It's not a title fight, so it's scheduled for 3 rounds. But they took odds. Will it be 3 or less, or will it be 3 or more? But they make those mistakes all the time. I'm just bringing that to you, something to look for, right? I mean, I'm just having fun. If you're scouring these sites, you can't figure out where to make your move, go study it. I guarantee there's a mistake somewhere. As a matter of fact, I think that I found one. And it wasn't a mistake by the numbers. It would require one further step of research. And so much in MMA does. You see all these guys that are going down for banned substances. They go, I didn't take that. That's not on the list. This is what I took. You go, okay, that's true. But if you'll do one further step of research, you'll see the active ingredient in that is this, which is banned, right? Like it's very hard to just take things on face value. And if in fact the data that I've got is correct, which is the reason the algorithm has picked Fiziev over Gamrot, is because of the wrestling. I'm bringing you a very helpful clue to let you know that algorithm didn't factor into account that Fiziev has never taken on a wrestler. And I think I want to get off right there because I'm kind of getting a feel inside like I'm giving Fiziev a hard time. I sure don't mean to. I really like this guy. I like how he's built. I like that he's active. Right, I like that he has something to say. The fact that he wasted his time calling out Hezbollah. I mean, the fact that he was going after a market of, I didn't like it, but he still tried. Right? I mean, the last 5 years, I could probably remember 5 callouts or less, and I remember his. So there was something there. I don't know that I can abolish a guy just for that. But as far as picking him to defend takedowns against the best wrestler he's ever faced by far, I can't do that either.